But this is concerning to me for a number of reasons, besides the amount of money, besides the deficit, besides the unbelievable social failure that welfare has been since the war on poverty started in the 60s, particularly in minority communities in the inner city. You see what is manifested as a result of this. You have a 77% illegitimacy rate in the black community. A lot of this is in urban areas where it pays not to have a father in the house. These are destructive social policies masked as a benefit to help people temporarily. And this is a very dangerous path. For example, after the debate on Tuesday night, Twitter exploded with all of these people, a lot of people, claiming they wanted to assassinate Mitt Romney because he was going to take away their food stamps and their government benefits. I mean, tweet after tweet after tweet. Twitchy.com did a whole story on this. This mentality scares me. You've got an entire underclass of people that have grown into this government dependency entitlement mentality that is dangerous.
That mentality is interesting, Tara, and Essie, it's something you and I have talked about a lot. How do you make small government seem compassionate and moral? How do you make small government the moral alternative? Senator Jeff Sessions had this to say regarding the rise in welfare, so we can put it up. He said, no longer should we measure compassion by how much money the government spends, but by how many people we help to rise out of poverty, to your point, Essie, earlier.
Well, exactly. And I think when you add to that another item that's in the zeitgeist, which is the reaction to various austerity measures overseas, it's not favorable. People do not take kindly to their giveaways being taken back. So I think that sort of adds to the fear of really cutting back on these programs and these handouts and these giveaways right now, because people are seeing overseas what kinds of political repercussions they could face.
If Mitt Romney were to come into office, even if he were the new administration, I think he would have a very hard time. We recognize that food stamps now, 47 million people are receiving them, but it's a tough thing politically to start to say we're gonna, you know, people are not going to be getting these benefits anymore.
Well, once it's in a budget, it never leaves the budget.
Exactly
that's what Will's chart shows.
That's exactly the point I wanted to get to.
It'll stay the same. They'll say, okay, we'll give you what you got last year,
right,
but you're not getting any more. That's why the number never goes down.
It's very easy to demagogue, and I can tell you from when I actually worked in the city and city government for some level, there's a subsidization. They subsidize illegitimacy at some level.
Absolutely.
I mean, because with each additional child, you get additional benefits from all of these different programs. You're eligible for a lot more money. And so it's actually much more economically sound in a city like New York, in some cases, if you're on public assistance, to have 4 or 5 kids than 2 kids. That is actually the way the numbers work.
Unfortunately, it pays to be a victim nowadays in this country, and that's un-American. That is not what America was founded on. That is not what our grandparents' generation fought in world wars for. That is not what our ancestors marched for this kind of stuff. You know, like you just said, it pays to. Why should I go and get a job and work hard when I can pop out a couple kids and I get my insurance paid for, my kids' health insurance paid for, their daycare paid for, my housing paid for, my contraception paid for if I use it. You know, everything gets paid for. But if you actually decide not to be part of the nanny state, you end up hurting more than if you were
paying taxes.
And to pay taxes. And that, I think that kind of mentality, that is un-American and dangerous.
And as a political matter, I think that Mitt Romney could make hay with this with President Obama. If you remember back in 2008 during his one-on-one at Saddleback, he was asked what was the biggest mistake you made politically, and he said opposing welfare reform in 1996. Right. And now we have President Obama as Newt Gingrich put it, the food stamp president. So I think he has something to answer for here. You said you opposed welfare reform, and that was a mistake. And here you are as President of the United States expanding the welfare state.
Yeah, I'm feeling my contrarian nature rise up right here and forced to say, again, part of this is because we are in a historic recession. Sure. More people fall into poverty and fall into the definition of the government assistance in a recession. But if you guys can put that chart up one more time, the first one that shows welfare growth spending from 1950 to 2011, I'm just taken aback by even during the years that we talk about welfare reform, like 1996, it just plateaus.
This is like
never
the European
gets
version of austerity.
smaller.
They just don't spend.
It just plateaus. And that plateau from the 90s is lauded as a measure that helped rise so many people out of poverty and to stop depending on welfare. And now look at what it's doing today.
Well, that's also because, just like SC said, it is really difficult once you put something in a budget like that to ever take it out. Wasn't it Ronald Reagan who said the only thing that ever dies is a government program or something? I forget what it was.
You're hurting poor people. That's what they'll say.
That's right. And politically, no one wants to be the person that's going to starve school kids, poor kids, you know, who can't eat and go to school. I mean, it's a horrible issue.
No.
That's right. But you know what else, though? And this is something else. You know, disability is up, and all, you know, people taking advantage of that. There's a lot of fraud and waste in a mammoth government program like this that was probably billions of government fraud and waste. But Mitt Romney needs to come out strongly to say, just like during the debate the other night when he was talking about what he can do for women, he should have had a better answer and based it on economics. That the key to freedom is education. That's what Frederick Douglass says. Well, right now the key to freedom is economic freedom and creating jobs, not creating a bigger government expansion of a nanny state. And that's what I will do. So we won't need these type of welfare programs. People will have jobs and be able to take care of themselves like they're supposed to.
Maybe Mitt Romney can say he'll turn around the economy, people have opportunity, and
That's
then
right.
this program will go away the way that we would hope it would.